Toxic masculinity.
Remove Maxine Waters' formal resolution to be introduced to Congress.
Right. So Maxine Waters, as you guys probably know, was encouraging the riots. And in fact, I may do a video, if I can get enough footage together, of all the times Maxine Waters encouraged people to riot and commit acts of violence. And leftists will say, she wasn't encouraging violence. She was encouraging peaceful protests. But the funny thing is, she's never said peacefully protest. She's never said be peaceful. She's never said protest. She's always said things like, you know, harass people and be aggressive and, you know, things like, she's used words like that. And so, no, she's not encouraged peaceful protest. She's encouraged violence. That is it, and that is all. I mean, you can infer different things from her expressions, but there's a pattern here. And so I think it's fairly obvious that she is encouraging violence. Resolution to, so this is from Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is basically hated by a lot of the people in Congress, the leftists and the leftist media. They all hate her. They think she's a QAnon lunatic. I like Marjorie Taylor Greene, despite the fact that I don't agree with all the things she's said in the past. I think her heart's in the right place. I think she's great. So let's have a look here. Resolution to expel Maxine Waters from Congress to be introduced by Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene says type a message. Says type a message. I don't know what that means.
I think I have to interrupt you.
Okay, interrupt me.
There's a super chat from SMYLESG.
All right, go for it. What is it?
Smiles G. Will the super chat buy me an intro?
An intro? What does that mean? An introduction? All right. I don't know what that means.
What do you
Will the
mean?
super chat buy me an intro?
You forgot the intro.
Oh, I forgot the intro.
Oh,
I forgot the intro. Okay, yes. Thank you. Smiles G. I don't know what that means. All right, let's do the intro.
Toxic masculinity.
All right. We are Toxic Masculinity, the least professional show on YouTube. Obviously, Valeria. I'm toxic, Valeria is masculine. God, I can't even get that right. How many times have I said that? I can't get it right. I'm toxic, she's masculine. Together, we are Toxic Masculinity. All right, let's get on with this story. California Representative Maxine Waters has made a career of making inflammatory statements that many believe are an incitement of violence. Because see, here's the thing. The bar has been lowered so much. Like, I think conservatives used to just ignore Maxine Waters. Obviously, what she did was terrible. But, like, she's such an effing idiot that I think conservatives kind of, like, felt bad for her. Like, okay, she's so dumb that maybe she doesn't realize what she's doing. And so people just didn't say anything about it. But now that they have accused Donald Trump of inciting an insurrection, even though he definitely did not, I think that they've changed the bar, the level of, what people are allowed to do as politicians now, right? Because if they're going to go after Trump for inciting an insurrection, which he absolutely, very obviously did not do, then Maxine Waters, who has intentionally incited violence over decades, she needs to be looked at much more seriously. If they're going to take us this seriously, or they're not even taking us seriously, they're accusing of things we didn't do, but they're things that they actually do. So I've talked about this in previous videos, like, we can't be so nice to Democrats anymore. We've been so nice to Democrats. Like, Maxine Waters did this in 1992 during the LA riots. She basically came out and said everybody who's rioting has a total right to be angry. They have a total right to be angry. Did she say people have to stop rioting and stop burning places down and stop murdering people? No. She didn't say anything like that. Did she say people need to stop being violent? No, of course she didn't. She said, no, people have a right to be angry. She said, people want me to come out here and say to stop rioting. She says, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that people need to calm down or relax. She's like, this is an injustice. Rodney King was beaten and those police need to go to prison and all this stuff. And she's like, this is a terrible injustice and people have a right to be angry. Which sort of suggested that she thought that people had a right to go around rioting, burning places down, murdering people. I mean, the woman is a vicious, horrible woman. the fact that she keeps being elected is astonishing to me. We know a guy named Joe Collins. He lives out here in L.A., and he was running for Maxine Waters' district for her position in Congress. He lost because her district is like crazy. But like he lives in that district. She doesn't even live in the district. She has like a mansion outside of it. He did a kind of viral video where he went around walking past her mansion and was like, "This is where Maxine Waters lives. It's not in our district." He's like, "I do live in our district." He's like, "Elect me." We just ran into him the other day actually at a party. I don't know him super well. We just run into each other from time to time at like events of conservatives in LA. But I mean, as much as I've interacted with him, I love him. He's got a beautiful wife, a bunch of cute little kids, and seems like a good man. I don't know how conservative he is. He was in the military, but man, I think he'd be about 1,000 times better than Maxine Waters. I'd love to get him in Congress. Hopefully he wouldn't disappoint us when he gets in there, but. No, I think, he's going to be a heck of a lot better than Maxine Waters no matter what. But yeah, it would be nice to get him in there. I think he still wants that seat. And maybe it'll happen if we can get her pushed out of Congress through a resolution. I don't think it's going to happen, though, because, Democrats control Congress. But let's have a look here. On Saturday, she told Black Lives Matter protesters that they need to be more confrontational if Derek Chauvin is not convicted of murder in the George Floyd killing trial. And on Sunday, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene said that she would introduce legislation to boot Representative Waters from Congress. Very soon, I'll be introducing a resolution to expel Maxine Waters from Congress for her continual incitement of violence, on innocent American people. Representative Waters is a danger to our society, she said. I mean, I agree with this. I 100% agree with this because she's what you call like a race baiter, right? Mm-hmm. So she'll So what this term means is, how like when you go fishing, the worm that you put on the end of the hook, that's called bait, right? Okay. And we use bait to get fish attracted to that hook, right? Or if you set a trap for an animal, the meat that you put in that they want to go try to eat, that's bait, right? So race baiting is basically just putting out these comments and ideas for people that will think, oh yeah, this is a provocative racial statement, saying white people are racist and stuff like that, and like playing up these incidents so that people will become more racist and they'll be attracted by this race language and stuff like this. Search for an attempted armed robbery suspect. Police advise the suspect was last seen in Westlake. Open for details. We get messages like this like 20 times a day.
I don't.
Yesterday, yeah, you deleted that app. But like yesterday, it was like, man shot twice. Man walking around with a machete. Like the craziest stuff. Downtown LA is crazy, you guys. We gotta get the hell out of here.
When I was driving home, there was like 2 arrests. One on this side of the street. Yes. Second was like today.
Really?
This
Oh, I thought you meant last night. Okay, this is today, right?
Today.
Because last night there was a bunch of somebody got arrested.
2 arrests.
Yeah, just today. That's great. Good old Los Angeles. If you want to move somewhere, if you want to be Batman, move to downtown LA. You'll be tackling a lot of homeless people. But all right, let's have a look here. Okay, so and then she said after traveling across state lines to incite riots, her orders recorded on video last night at the Brooklyn Center directly led to more violence at a drive-by shooting on National Guardsmen in Minnesota earlier this morning. So I'm not 100% sure that can be attributed to Maxine Waters, although it's a good possibility that that's true. There's a good possibility that what Maxine Waters said specifically and directly influenced the people who committed these acts of violence after she said this. But there's no proof of that, so I don't know if you can just... I wouldn't simply... I think it's a little irresponsible to say that what she said certainly did influence it. I would say it likely influenced it or possibly influenced it. That's just me trying to be a responsible person. All right, let's see here. Yeah, that's one of the few times we're not saying this kind of thing. We're not tempering what we're saying, to be nice to the YouTube people. I genuinely think that's a more responsible way of talking about this kind of stuff. Let's see here. As a sitting U.S. Congresswoman, Maxine Waters threatened a jury demanding a guilty verdict and threatened violence if Chauvin is found not guilty. This is an absolute abuse. This is also an abuse of power. God, I mean, she's on fire. All these things are absolutely right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we need to. Maxine Waters is basically saying you need to terrorize Minnesota if we don't get what we want. I mean, that's all. Like, to me, they need to declare a mistrial. From that alone, they need to declare a mistrial. You can't have a sitting member of Congress sitting there like demanding that somebody be found guilty. It's like he's guilty or not guilty depending on the case and what's presented. There's going to be a lot of Chauvin stuff today, by the way, guys. Well, two things. The Minnesota National Guard was targeted in a drive-by shooting in Minneapolis just hours after California Representative Maxine Waters said that Black Lives Matter needs to be more confrontational. The National Guard said that the members were, along with local police, providing neighborhood security near Penn and Broadway Avenue when people in an SUV opened fire on them. The Minnesota National Guard said on its website, "Thank God no National Guard members were injured in the shooting." I'm not going to read through this whole article because we've talked a lot about this, but yeah, I think you guys are all basically on the same page as us. Maxine Waters is a disgrace. She's an old coot. She's incredibly dangerous to our society at the moment. I mean, think about it like this. If there was like a serious problem with white supremacy, which there isn't, obviously, in America right now, there has been in the past, like, say like the 1930s or something like that. I don't really know when the Ku Klux Klan was particularly active or dangerous, but it's been a while. It's been a while. But let's say there was a bunch of lynchings of black people by white supremacists, something like that. And if a sitting member of Congress came out and said, "You guys need to be more violent," I think that person would be very quickly condemned by everybody. But Maxine Waters comes out and basically says, all you black people rioting, you need to be more, what'd she say? Not more aggressive. What's the word she used? More
awesome.
I wish you'd said you need to be more awesome. Confrontational. You got to remember these things, sweetie. My memory's crap.
My English is crap.
You need to be more confrontational. If conservatives are always thinking about how leftists would perceive it the other way around because they get away with so much. They just forgive anything. But they don't just forgive things. They're like blind to the fact that they are so unbelievably awful. They don't realize how vicious and terrible they are. And, they just think like, I don't understand. What Maxine Waters said was perfectly fine because white people are bad and black people are good. Everybody knows that. Like, that's the way they think. I mean, they're legit crazy. Leftists have a distorted view of the world that I think is sort of akin to somebody who is like, legitimate, like has like legitimate paranoia or schizophrenia or something like this, where they genuinely think, things are happening that aren't, the CIA are listening to me inside my Coke, stuff like that. I mean, that's how the left is. It's so weird because they think about like conservatives always get a bad rap for having like being conspiracy theorists. But most of the conspiracy theories that the mainstream conservatives believe end up being true. Almost all of them end up being true. And the ones that like the fringe people believe, like leftists eat babies and stuff like that, the fringe right, the stuff that they believe, like that's an incredibly small group of fringe conservatives that believe the baby eating and some of the weirder stuff. But the left likes to put all of that on all conservatives, and it's just not true. Most conservatives don't believe the weird, super conspiracy theory stuff. But on the other hand, on the other side, on the left, there is no fringe left. There is no fringe left believing weird conspiracy theories. The whole left believes the conspiracy theories. The whole left believed that Trump was colluding with Russia. In fact, they're still coming out with new stuff now that is absolute nonsense. That, in fact, we now have new proof that Trump was colluding with Russia. Okay, you don't. It's a lie. It's just like the lie about Sicknick, right? They were like, Officer Sicknick was bludgeoned to death with a fire extinguisher. That word bludgeoned, what a great word, right? I mean, he obviously was never hit with a fire extinguisher at all, so I don't think I'm being disrespectful to him, But They're saying he was bludgeoned to death with a fire extinguisher. He wasn't bludgeoned. He was never even hit with a fire extinguisher. He had some kind of stroke or something like that. It's unclear exactly what happened, but he had some kind of medical issue. And they're just lying. They're saying, white supremacists who are emboldened by Donald Trump are causing all kinds of crimes against Asians. These are all essentially conspiracy theories. They're basically obvious lies that have nothing to do with the reality. Oh, Trump's Ukraine phone call, clearly a lie. What's his name? Adam Schiff comes out and he says Trump basically bullied him like a mafia boss and said, like, if you don't do what I'm telling you to do, you're not going to get paid. And you know what I'm telling you, you got to make up dirt on Joe Biden. He like made up some like weird scripted thing. And, that got criticized even by people on the left. It was so egregious. But the problem with stuff like that is that if Adam Schiff comes out and says that, even if somebody on CNN says, well, Trump didn't actually say that in the phone call, you're still going to get leftists, voters, left-wing voters who believe that Trump said that or that was Trump's, intention because, well, Adam Schiff says it must be true. That's how unbelievably irresponsible these people are. They're all conspiracy theorists. Like, all the politicians are conspiracy theorists, all the media is conspiracy theorists, and all the leftist voters buy into the conspiracy theory. So it's not like a fringe part of the left that believes these conspiracy theories. It's the left, right? It's what we started calling recently Blueanon, although that didn't really, I don't think that caught on as a big deal. But I like the idea of calling it Blueanon because they do have all these crazy conspiracy theories and they're not fringe. They're the mainstream of the left. They believe conspiracy theories like as a standard part of their left-wing philosophy. That black men are being killed by the thousands by cops every year. It's just not true. Like the unarmed black men being killed by cops narrative is completely fictional. It's a conspiracy theory. And we have to start calling it that because they're calling a lot of our stuff conspiracy theories, which aren't. And yet they're constantly spewing conspiracy theories every single day, all day. All right, Donnie.
Yes.
That took a little bit longer than I thought because I went on a bit of a tangent. But we are done with that story. Let's move on to the next one.
Biden accidentally uses the word crisis.
Yeah. Okay. So this is quite fun. We have a video for you guys here. Let's go ahead and watch Biden call the situation on the border a crisis. Let's see here.
Oh boy, President Joe Biden finally saying that there's a crisis at the southern U.S. border as a new poll reveals a growing number of Americans see illegal immigration as a very big problem.
Okay, so we saw there he used the word crisis, but so here's what they're saying now. Here's what like Psaki is saying. She's saying, "Oh no, he didn't mean that the border surge in immigrants is a crisis. What he said was there's a crisis because the things in South America and Central America are so bad that people want to come up here. That's the crisis. Yeah, that's it. So the crisis is the bad living conditions that are forcing them to come up here. That's the crisis. Okay, that's it."
Toxic Masculinity. Weekdays, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific.